Welcome to the discussion video on the time value of money and capital budgeting as a component in making strategic business decisions in an organization. So before we go uh, to the capital budgeting process, we will analyze the concept of the time value of money as an important component in the analysis of capital budgeting decisions. So when we say the time value of money, what does it connote? So let us read why we need the analysis of the concept of time value of money. Rational investors prefer to receive money today rather than the same amount of money in the future because of money's potential to grow in value over a given period of time. The formula for computing the time value of money considers the payment now, the future value, the interest rate, and the time frame. So when we look at the formula, the payment now, the future value, and the interest rate and the time frame, we are referring to the analysis of a particular amount at a future date, um, because the amount of money now and the considering the same amount in the future will differ, and what differentiates them is the concept of time value. Kaya nga, when you are a strategic manager, it is best if you get the money now than receiving the same amount in the future. Kasi yung pera ngayon, hindi na yun yung pera in the future. It will change over time. It will depend on a number of factors such as inflation, recession in the economy. So, if you are a wise strategic decision maker, mas maganda na ma-receive mo na ngayon yung pera for you to use it in its most productive sense rather than receiving it in the future if same amount lang din naman ang pinag-uusapan natin, kasi nga because of yung potential ng money to grow if it is invested in more productive pursuits. The time value of money, as we continue it helps make sound corporate decisions in finance, investment, and portfolio analysis. Kasi kung makukompute mo yung future value and then the present value now, if you analyze those options, makikita mo na you will be guided with more appropriate decisions related to investment, portfolio analysis, and finance. It bridges the gap between consumption and investment. Why? Because if you already have the knowledge of the time value of money, which is nakikita mo kung magkano ang value ng perang ito in a particular year. Halimbawa, at the end of year 2, ganito ang value ng pera na yan. Then ma-analyze mo that because of this information, makikita mo na saan ko to pwedeng i-invest, saan ko dapat, at what amount, at what extent lang ako dapat mag-consume. So it bridges the information gap between consumption and investment. The timing of cash flows has important economic consequences, yes, because as businesses, ang orientation mo diyan ay to prolong the payment at a least cost possible, and to shorten the collection of receivables para magamit mo pa siya in more productive investment, or uh, uh, for more productive investment activities. So this is sometimes referred to as the present discounted value. So sometimes it is referred to as present discounted value because binibigyan ka ng amount at the future at kailangan ma-identify mo yung time value niya, yung value niya at time zero. When we refer to time zero, ibig sabihin yung present yon. The future value techniques are, okay, the concept of future value. Ano naman to concept ng future value? So as the term implies, these are The future value techniques, may ginagamit po tayong techniques yan such as the use of the compounding method. We use it to find the value of if a certain amount of money is invested today at a given interest rate over a given period of time. So for example, you invest 1 million on a particular investment decision, investment A, for example, computin natin magkano ang future value niya at the end of year 3, at the end of year 5, at a particular interest rate na 5%. So ganon, yung pag-analyze natin. Next, the concept naman of present value, we use to determine the value today of a certain amount of money that will be received in the future at a given interest rate over a given period of time. So here, we use the discounting method. So most probably, medyo familiar ka na dyan. So ini-introduce natin yung concept ng time value, future value, and then present value as we go along with the discussion on capital budgeting techniques. So there are, when we say present value, kabaliktaran ng future value. Bibigyan ka naman ng future value, then you compute for your, the value of it, the time value of that money at time 0, yung present value niya. So there are terminologies that we will encounter na pwedeng na-encounter mo na on your previous courses, the ordinary annuity and the annuity due. So when we say ordinary annuity, the payments are at the end of the year or the period specified in the arrangement. Annuity due naman kapag payments are occurring or at the beginning of each year. Halimbawa, nag-start ngayon ka na rin magbabayad. So, yun yung annuity due. Kapag ordinary annuity, nag-start ka ngayon, ang first payment mo is at the end of the year. Ganon. So, when we know future value, present value, the concept of annuities, the concept of time value of money, we will integrate it as we use it in our capital budgeting decisions. So, capital budgeting is the process of identifying, evaluating, planning, and financing capital investment decisions of an organization. So, what are these capital investment decisions? So, itong capital investment decisions, it is divided into two. One is yung financing and second is the investment decision. So when we say financing, this is related to raising capital to fund an investment. So kailangan mong makahanap ng isang financial intermediary or financial institution na magbibigay sa iyo ng kapital kasi meron kang project or meron kang investment. While investment decision naman ay this is related to acquiring assets to achieve the company's objectives. So, you see the difference between the two. So, ginagamit itong capital investment, capital budgeting in analyzing transactions related to financing decision, yung mga malakihang pag-raise ng capital para sa isang project, or pwedeng you use the capital budgeting techniques para ma-identify mo kung ano yung mga assets na kailangan mong i-acquire. Syempre, para maging at the maximization of profit, di ba? So, we characterize capital investment decisions. Kasi kapag sinabi natin capital investment, these are the large, it involves large resources. Kaya nga, usually, it requires large commitment of resources. These are normally long-term. When we say long-term, it is more than a year yung mga transactions dyan. It is more difficult to reverse than short-term decisions kasi nga, it involves long-term commitments and resources. At yan ay pinag-aaralan. So, hindi lang siya yung basta pagbili ng inventory, ganon. It involves large resources, large commitments, and it involves decisions from strategic managers, yung mga top level managers. It involves so much risk and uncertainty because of the it being a large, because it involves large resources, it also involves large risk kasi ni-risk mo yung majority of the resources of the company. Not majority but a large portion of the organization. So since this is a large decisions involving the organization, ang dapat nagde-decide diyan is yung strategic managers. Kaya nga itong topic na to is included in the strategic business analysis because this is a matter of importance to the the top level managers. Okay? So we look at the methods of evaluating capital investment decisions. So we segregate the methods that do not use the time value of money and the methods that consider the time value of money. So ang ginagamit natin when we look at, so bakit kailangan makita natin ito? Dahil from time to time pwedeng applicable yung paggamit ng time value of money at pwedeng hindi on a particular instances. So makikita natin yung advantages and disadvantages of on using the tools or the methods. So, meron tayong payback method and the accounting rate of return, they do not use the time value of money. Okay? In the CPA board exam, some theoretical questions will ask related to this. The methods that do not use the time value of money. So, enumerate niya doon. So, mapiliin mo kung asan doon. So, kailangan medyo meron kang overall knowledge related to that. Hindi lang basta alam mong computein yung payback, alam mo computein yung counting rate of return, alam mo computein yung net present value, but you should have a conceptual knowledge related to these items kasi pwedeng ganon yung tenor ng questioning. Next, the methods that do not consider the time value of money or the net present value, internal rate of return, profitability index, and the present value payback. That later on we will discuss one by one. Okay? So siguro for this first part of the video, we will discuss payback and the accounting rate of return. So when we say payback, it measures the length of time required by the project to return the initial cost of investment. So the formula is cost of investment divided by the annual cash inflows. So when we look at payback, the term implies yung pagbalik. So it will answer the question such as how soon will the investment be recovered? Gaano kabilis babalik yung ininvest natin? Halimbawa, naglabas ka ng 1 million, base dun sa inflows, ang base sa inflows ay 100,000 monthly siya. So gaano kabilis bumalik yung inilabas mong 1 million? Yun yung payback. It measures the length of time required by the project to return the initial investment. Payback gives info about the project's liquidity. A quick payback period indicates a less risky project. Kung mabilis ang pagbalik or the shorter the payback period, it is better. Kasi ibig sabihin, nare-recoup mo agad yung ininvest mo. Okay? The orientation of payback period is more of a return of investment. Yung pagbalik ng investment rather than yung kita sa investment, the return on investment. So, you see the difference. When we say payback, it is the return of, yung pagbalik ng investment. Nag-invest ako ng 1 million, kailan babalik sa akin yung 1 million? Yung return on investment, nag-invest ako ng 1 million, magkano ang kikitain ko doon sa 1 million? So that is the difference between them. It does not consider the salvage value of the project. Kasi ang kino-consider lang dito is yung inflows. Okay? It ignores the cash flows that may occur after the payback period. Kasi nga, paano if there are instances na after mong ma-receive yung total ng investment mo, sobrang ang laki na yung susunod na month, ang laki ng cash flow doon or pwedeng ang liit, hindi na natin na-account yung mga ganon. Kasi ang orientation under the payback period ay kailan at what period nakabalik yung total initial investment. Okay, you see the differences and it is easy for you to comprehend yung advantage and disadvantage of using the payback period. So normally, kapag quick assessment of project, tinitingnan natin yung payback period as a capital budgeting technique para ma-analyze natin, okay itong project na to because ang bilis bumalik ng investment. But if we look at a deeper understanding of the project, doon na papasok yung paggamit natin ng time value of money. Okay? Next, we refer to the accounting rate of return, also called as the book value rate of return, financial accounting rate of return, average return on investment, and the unadjusted rate of return. So this is essentially yung sinasabi ko kanina. Yung accounting rate of return, this is the return on your investment, di ba? This is on. Kanina, return of investment. Ngayon, ito ay return on investment. What's the formula? The average annual net income divided by the investment. Okay? Average annual net income nung project na yon, paalam mo naman kung paano mag-compute ng annual net income at an average, and then divided by the investment, kung magkano ang nilabas mo particular project. Okay? I think I will be ending the discussion by at this point. Para sa susunod, dun tayo sa time value of money and some computational yung computational discussion. Example natin lahat ng methods, okay? I will be giving one sample per item, okay? Thank you. Please continue on the next video for more of the capital budgeting techniques.